Aveline, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So the video today is up a little bit late. I hope that is okay. Honestly, I got started building a video? No. I got started building a house for tomorrow and then I just completely lost track of time. So here we are. I should probably finish my videos before I start the next ones. Like that sounds like a smart thing to do, a smart way to plan, but I'm not that smart apparently, so anyway, but there is a video going up as well tomorrow that I'm currently working on. So I didn't manage to do a werewolf house for yesterday, so I'm gonna have to owe you one. No, the house that we're doing tomorrow is not a werewolf house. So I'm gonna have to owe you one, but today we are building for a witch or a spellcaster. So I think it was it Friday or Thursday? It must have been Friday. Yeah, I did the vampire tiny house with a secret lair, and then I wanted to do a werewolf one for yesterday, but I had guests and just did not have the time to build it. Also because I've been kind of like catching up with both of the channels over the past couple of days because I came home from Rome Wednesday evening, so Thursday and Friday I was just like hurrying through my stuff, you know, trying to catch up, so I just didn't really have the time to build one for yesterday, but I'm gonna have to owe you one. It was supposed to have been a werewolf one, so, you know, we could have done both werewolves, vampires, and then also witches, because those are the occults. Ignore aliens. I don't care for them. I'm much more of a fantasy girl than a sci-fi girl, and it really reflects in my interests when it comes to occults too. So yeah, we're just gonna forget everything about the aliens, okay? But I feel like that's like a general thing. Also mermaids, but they're not scary, you know, they're just pretty. They're not scary. So, but I feel like it's also like a general thing with the community that a lot of the time aliens are kind of half forgotten because they're not as fleshed out as, for example, spellcasters and even vampires, even though they're a bit of an older occult for The Sims 4 by now. They're just not as well, like they don't have the systems and the talents and all the stuff. They just have really annoying babies. That's basically it. So just kind of tend to forget that they exist, you know? But if I had to choose between doing one for a witch or for a werewolf, werewolves came out very recently and I did several builds right after it came out, so I decided to go for a witchy house instead. So we're building this in Windenburg on I think it's a 30 by 20. It's a wide lot instead of a long lot. I build on this lot quite often because I just adore the surrounding forest. Like I don't know, the nature surrounding this lot is so good. So it's just very tranquil, very woodsy kind of area. I wish we had more areas like this in our worlds, but I mean we have Granite Falls, but it's still not the same. Like it's not the same, okay? So I also decided to build this in autumn. I don't think I did that with the vampire house, but with the surrounding forest here on the slot, it just really felt like it would be fitting to build it during autumn. But also, so before I went to Rome, the trees hadn't started shedding their leaves yet, or whatever, however you say that. I'm gonna say shedding their leaves. They hadn't really started yet, but in the time span of a week while I was gone, the trees that are in the backyard here, because I do have, like, I can see a little bit of like not a park, but there's a garden-ish sort of whatever, a tree, or not a tree area, a grassy area with a couple of trees. I can see those from my living room window, and they're starting to shed their leaves now, and they're beautifully like orange and stuff. So it's just, I know that I've built a lot of autumnal houses over this week or over this month, but I wanted to feel the vibes because we're not going to be doing a lot of that in November, I think. So I think this might be the last one, actually. Or no, this is not the last one. Tomorrow's house will actually be at least one of the last ones that I'm doing in autumn mode in The Sims, but it's just beautiful. It's the best season in The Sims, okay? I don't make the rules. The trees just look beautiful. I thought, did anybody else when seasons came out, did you guys also think that spring was gonna look a lot more cutesy than it did? I mean, it's not even like spring in real life is very flowery or anything. It's just kind of, I mean, for a long time, everything is just kind of dead, you know? Like the trees don't look that pretty because they don't have any leaves or anything. And then suddenly they start to get these little buds, and then they start to get leaves. But for a long time, they don't, at least here in Denmark, because I suppose it's different from country to country depending on what climate you live in. But here in Denmark, they don't really look very alive for big parts of spring. So, you know, everything, there's like a phase where we don't get snow. There's no like chance of snow or anything, but the trees just kind of look dead. Like there's not much to them. That's kind of what spring is like in The Sims as well. Everything's just sort of dead. But I remember when we got seasons back in 2017, I think it was, and I was just so excited to check out what all the seasons looked like. Back then, I didn't have MCCC, so I couldn't change it either. I literally had to sit through 7 days in The Sims to check the seasons. It was a struggle for a while, especially doing thumbnails. And it was a struggle. I spent a lot of my Sims days, okay? Like they've really aged up and everything. But when I got to spring, because I started out with summer, which is kind of boring because it's the same as, you know, standard Sims without seasons. But I started out with summer, so the last seasons that I saw was spring, and it was just so great. But I mean, it's very realistic. It is, at least according to, or at least like, if I compare it to Denmark, it's very realistic. It's very gray, just not a whole lot. But I remember having this idea for a build that was going to be all cute and stuff. And then, because I did seasonal houses right after seasons came out, and I don't know why we're on a nostalgic trip right now, but we're just doing some landscaping, so why not? But I remember having this idea that I was going to do like a super pastel kind of house, and I was going to put a lot of flowers around it and everything. And then I I had the build fleshed out in my head as well before I got started with it. I just knew exactly what I wanted everything to look like, and then I finally got to spring, and I was like, what the heck? Like, no, this is not gonna do at all. So I basically had to wait until like the last day of spring before it swapped to summer, before it changed to summer. And it was still kind of like the grass still looked a little bit weird, but at least the flowers had started blooming again. That's really all I wanted. So yeah, but did any of you guys think that it was gonna look a little bit different in The Sims? Because I definitely thought so, but I mean, I get that it doesn't, but I definitely thought so. So as for this build though, build on a 30 by 20 in Windenburg, there is only room for, if you do the scoot over trick, if that works in your game. I know it doesn't in some people's games. There we go. I don't know why that is, but I keep being told from video to video it kind of changes a little bit. But if it works in your game, you got room for 2 Sims in the house, and if it doesn't, there is only room for 1 Sim, unless you want one of them sleeping on the couch, which I mean, I don't know what drama is going on in your Sims households, but I'm not going to question it. If that's the situation, then so be it. But the double bed in the very small bedroom is like up against the wall, so you can only enter one side of the bed. So that's why the scoot over trick, if that doesn't work for you, you can only place 1 Sim in the bed. That's just how it is for today. The house is very small, everything is very cramped together, and the floor plan was a menace. It was not fun to do. I can't really pinpoint why. Like, I don't really know why it was difficult, but it just was. I think it was because I kind of wanted the bedroom to be bigger than it ended up being. I wanted the bedroom to be right here, where the living room is, but that would have meant the living room would turn out to be super small too, so I had a little bit of an issue. Plus, at certain points, I also thought that it would be nice if it wasn't just for a single Sim or a couple, that they had room for like either a nursery or a toddler or whatever, but I could not make room for one. I could only fit in one bedroom. So, but they do have a decently sized dining room though. So, you know, they got that going for them. They just don't have, there's just not enough Sims in this household to actually fill up the chairs around the dining table. So that's a thing. But they can have guests over, you know, like that's a possibility for them now. So, and then also one of the things that caused me some issues is that we actually have, despite it being a tiny house, we actually have two doors. So we have one on the right side of the house and then we have one on the left side, which you have to go through the kitchen to get to this mudroom, which is not really decorated as the mudroom, but let's just pretend. And then you exit the door to the yard. So if I was okay with having that door in a bedroom, it would have been a little bit easier, but this is Windenburg we're talking about, and it's also autumn, and I'm thinking no, because that sounds muddy, and I don't want the thought of having a door, like, it had to be a mudroom, so that you could pretend like your Sims are taking off their shoes, which they can actually in The Sims now, which is cool. I appreciate that. As a Scandi person, I appreciate that because we don't really wear shoes indoors. I mean, some do apparently, but it's kind of not very common. At least in Denmark. I can't really speak for my Swedish and Norwegian fellas out there, but you know. I remember that being introduced. Is it through Snowy Escape? It must be because they also take off their shoes over there. But they also take off their shoes as if they just keep them on everywhere else in the world. Like you just permanently wear shoes or something. It's fine. I haven't really slept last night, so like I'm a little bit delusional today, just so you guys know. I just want to warn you. It might be a little bit too late, like we're halfway through the voiceover, but just in case, a little bit delusional today because I am short on sleep. It's the usual. Yeah. At least we're not doing this voiceover at like 3 a.m. and I have to leave for Rome tomorrow because, you know, that was a thing as well. Or actually, no, I did a voiceover on the day that I had to leave. That was a stressful day. I managed though. I managed everything. I don't know how I did it. I was 10 minutes late for dinner, but that was it. I don't know. It was magic. I don't get it either, but hey. But as for the interior, I am just trying to make it very cozy, a little bit cottagecore, and I'm adding a lot of plants and like a few candles here and there, a lot of crystals. And I'm not really using a lot of the stuff from Realm of Magic simply because I feel like it's a little bit too fancy for this house. Like it looks very expensive and I feel like this house looks very not old necessarily, but like not run down either. But you know when it's not like it hasn't been renovated for a while, basically. So I feel like the Art Nouveau, I know that I'm using them, the counters here, which by the way don't come with cabinets, and I was not aware of that until I started looking for the cabinets because I really wanted to use them, and then I didn't have any. That kind of sucked. But anyway, I am using the counters here, but as for the rest of the house, I'm not really touching the Art Nouveau stuff because it's just a little bit too fancy. I think I'm using a bookcase. And also I was almost using a dresser and also the couches, but actually ended up swapping them out. So we're not really using a lot of the stuff from Realm of Magic, but I hope at least I got the gameplay bits that you need to, there's at least a broom and there's also a wand in the house. So I hope I got the gameplay bits that you need as a spellcaster. If not, I know that you can buy them in the realm, so you might have to visit Glimmerbrook and then, you know, go from there, but I did my best. I don't exactly remember what items it is that you actually need. I remember there being, like, tomes and such. Is that what it's called? Spell books. I don't know, I don't remember what they're called, but I know that those were a thing, so, like, if you want to learn spells, you have to buy the books anyway. There's a couple lying around the house, just because it looks like the witch living here has been doing research or something. But we got the broom, we got the wand, so I think we're covered, but I can't really remember though. The brooms are so cute as well, and you can get them in like different shapes and such. I really, I forgot they were a thing, and then I suddenly remembered that they are in the debug catalog, so I'm happy that I did, otherwise there wouldn't have been a broom. But they're so cute. You can also just use them for decor in other houses. So if you aren't building for a spellcaster either, you can still use them. They'll just look like brooms, you know? They're just cute. But yeah. I hope I'm covered when it comes to spellcaster stuff in this house. I will say, other than the broom and the wand, I was definitely focusing a little bit more on vibes. So, because I love the like the woodsy witchy vibe. Oh right, I should probably say, okay, so yeah, there's a chicken coop in the yard, by the way, and that is because I read a book recently where there was a witch in the book. There are two witches, technically, but one of them is what they called a dust wife or a grave witch. So she talks to dead people, or like spirits. She talks to spirits, but she has a chicken. She has a companion that is a chicken, or it's a grown-up chicken. It's not a little chicken, a grown-up chicken. I think it's like a hen. I don't think it's a rooster. I think or it might be a rooster, actually. It's possessed by a demon, and I was just remembering that when I built this house. So I was like, okay, well, the witch needs a chicken coop, obviously, because apparently the two just go hand in hand for some reason. So that's why they have a chicken coop in the yard. I don't know. I think it's fitting. I think it makes sense somehow. Also, the book is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, by the way, which is supposed to be horror. I didn't really find it that scary, though. There's a couple of moments, but it wasn't really that horror-ish to me personally. It might just, I don't know. But it's a dark fairy tale, which I love. So fairy tales overall are always fun to read, especially when there's like a newer take on them and such. So if you want to check it out, Nettle and Bone, T. Kingfisher. It was a fun read, and I will say the two witches are definitely were probably my favorite characters in them. So they both have chickens, or one has the demon possessed rooster, and the other one has a couple of chickens. So like, I don't know, that was the thing with those witches. It just makes sense now. There's a chicken coop in the house or in the yard. It just makes sense now. I don't make the rules, like I said. I don't. And then aside from that, in the yard, they also have a couple of plant pots because as far as I remember, witches also need to be able to grow some herbs or something. And there's also, just in case you want to have some fun with it, there's a flower arrangement table and also a picnic table, which, yes, is from Batu. And that is because it just looks like it fits in a woody area. There's only a couple of items, not to trash on Batu because I've done that before, but there's only a couple of items from that pack that I actually really like. There's 2 floors and then the picnic table right here. Some of the smaller decor pieces as well if you're building for like a nerd or, I don't know, a nerd. That's fine. Or like just a geek, you know? But that's about it basically. So yeah, I just love, I think that picnic table looks so good in these more like forest areas because it's carved. It looks carved out of like real wood. It's not an even, the edges aren't even, if you know what I mean. So it just looks like it fits in very well. But you could also go for another picnic table if you don't have Batu, by the way. Like, it doesn't have to be this one. I can recommend, what is it? There's one from Island Living that I think would look good here, and also the Cats and Dogs one. So if you're just like, no Batu in my builds, thank you, you can swap it to one of those. But I think that is basically it for the yard, actually. We're mainly doing some landscaping for the rest of this video, just because we are in a woodsy area, so I just wanted the landscaping around the house to kind of reflect that or like tie in with it, if you will, because I like when the lots don't look like they're just like plopped down on the lot, which is also why I don't utilize every single square on a lot. I like when they just like organically fit in some way, in general at least. I have done the let's use every single tile on a lot before in the past, but recently, or over the past year at least, I've been a little bit more, let's just try to make everything just fit with the surrounding area, you know? So yeah, just trying to do that with the landscaping right here. And I think that is basically, oh yeah, also placing down a couple of trees, as per usual, of course. But that is definitely it. So I hope you guys like this house. If I missed anything for spellcasters, let me know, because I'll keep it in mind for the next one if I'm ever building for a spellcaster or a witch again, so let me know. But if you like this house, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. And as always, the tray files can be found over on my Patreon, which will be linked to in the description box as well as in the pinned comment. And you can also find a link to my booktube in the pinned comment. So if you like to read, or if you just want to hear me talk about books, definitely check out the channel. But that is all I got for you guys today, so I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!
There's a party in the backyard, dance your problems away. I'm all about the good vibes. I know you're all about the good vibes. Do you know how much I love you? Wanna see you smile. Where's that happy girl that I know with a heart on fire? I'll do anything to make it fine, but I can tell that you have something on your mind right now. But I will make you forget all your sorrows. Let go like there's no tomorrow. Let's have a drink, just relax, all your problems will fade. If you're ready for a good time, count on me. There's a party in the backyard, dance your problems away. I'm all about the good vibes. I know you're all about the good vibes. We are all about the good vibes. We are all about the good times. Dance until it feels alright, all night. We're all about the